only jungle everywhere where you went. At that time, sir, people were what we call in Zulu, ngcukubili. A human being was both male and female in one body.
Good evening, everyone. I am here. I am so sorry for the delay. I had so much information to load and so many things to take care of tonight, but I made it. How are you guys doing? I'm going to give people time to come on in because I know I am late. The clip that you just seen was from Krito Mutwa, a South African shaman. And what he was sharing was the origins of man from oral tradition. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you need me to replay it, I'm willing to do it. Basically, what Krito was saying was, in the beginning of time, human beings were dual. How you doing, Tequila? Everybody, come on in, say hello, hello, hello. The topic for tonight is trans and intersex people been here. I don't know why people seem to believe that we just fell out the sky. I don't know why people seem to believe that we got bit by a radioactive spider or fell in a vat of chemical waste, or I don't know, all these variations. I've heard fluoride stories. I've heard we've our genetic experiment with gene splicing. I've heard it all. So tonight, I just wanted to shed light on some of the spiritual, religious origins of intersex and trans people, and then show you that we were here. We didn't come to America. We wasn't poisoned. It's not a grand conspiracy. So I'm gonna give people a little bit more time to catch on that I'm on. I'm gonna replay the Credo Mutwa clip, which is very short. Um, if you want to join the live, in the caption is the link. So just click it, come on in, and you'll pop up on the screen, and you can share what your thoughts are. So I'm gonna share this clip once again, and then I'm gonna begin the show.
At that time, only jungle everywhere where you went. At that time, sir, people were what we call in Zulu, ngcukubili. A human being was both male and female in one body.
Now, if you're interested in listening to the rest of that clip, please go on YouTube. You can look up Credo Mutwa. He is a Zulu shaman. Basically, if you don't know what a Zulu shaman is, basically what they do is they retain the histories of their culture. So he's a Zulu, so he will be trained to retain all the histories from the beginning of time. And what she basically shared with you was that we were once one entity. Okay, there was no man, there was no woman, there was just one intersex person. And if you ever watch any of his videos, he'll explain to you how we became man and woman. So I see people watching. Say hello to me. Don't be afraid. Also, if you want to call in on tonight's topic, the number is below. It's 302 312 3534. If you want to come in on the daggone live, and you can, come on in. I want you to. I would love for you to come in. All right? I would love for you to come in. So let's get into trans and intersex people. Anybody before I start, do you have any opinions, anything? Hi, Chris. Anything that you would like to tell me about the intersex community? Do you even know who we are, what we stand for? Anything you would like to share? And I'm sorry if last week, if you watched last week, if you was thrown off and you're just now finding out that I'm an intersex person. I'm glad that you did. I am cool with who I am. I love who I am. I'm happy to be in my body. And for those that feel offended or they don't like me, fuck you. You can go about your business. I'm cool with who I am. Yes, I'm raw. I'm peach tonight. All right, so nobody has anything to tell me about what they believe a trans and an intersex person is. I'm sorry. It's this delay for me hearing y'all. Okay, so let's take it from two routes. For the religious people in the back, I hear a lot of times people say, "Oh, I don't understand the whole thing about being trans people. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know. What is it? What is it?" So I'm going to tell you from a spiritual aspect. If you don't understand what a trans person is, look at it this way. A trans person is having a spiritual experience. It's a masculine spirit placed in a female, in a male body. You know what I'm saying? You're placed in the wrong body. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. This echo. It's a spiritual experience. So if I'm a masculine energy and I'm placed in a female body, I cannot tolerate that because my spirit is male. If I am a female and I'm placed in a male body, I cannot handle that because I am female. For the spiritual people in the back, I hope that helps you to understand the trans experience. A lot of times with religion and religious people, you don't get all the doctrine inside that Bible that you should have to understand regular things. Because if you did, you will understand that all of us, not just trans people, are a spirit, and then we just get plugged into these meat suits. The spirit is the battery. That's it. That is all. For the people that aren't religious, and I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to upload the clip. If you look scientifically at trans people, the trans man mind thinks like a male, and they have brain scan studies, and the trans woman's mind thinks like a female. They have trans head bodies, I'm sorry, mental scans that you could take a look at. I suggest that you go online and take a look at the research. I done gave you the scientific part of being trans, and I done gave you the spiritual part of it. The rest is science. Okay? It's just that simple. The dysphoria part is when you are in the wrong body. Okay? That's simple. So I'm going to repeat it again. A trans person is going through a spiritual experience. Their spirit doesn't match their meat suit, and they have conflict with it. It's that simple. And it causes dysphoria. The rest is science. Now, what do I mean by science? We have the capability nowadays to take that meat suit and change it to the appropriate sex that you would love for it to be. It's that simple. There is no hell, abomination. There is no mental illness. It's none of that. It's a spiritual experience. The end. Now, if any one of my trans brother and sisters would love to come on this live to get a little deeper, you can. That is not my place to go deep in, the trans experience. But I can speak for the intersex experience because I am an intersex person, which is very similar. The difference between a trans person and an intersex person: we are in the flesh, meaning our flesh, the meat suit, this meat suit that you're looking at, is both female and male. And there's several variations to it, okay? So you can be born, and I hate this term, as a hermaphrodite, meaning you have genitalia on the outside that's both female and male. That's one version. Other versions of being intersex can be hormonal, where you can be totally female on the outside or totally male on the outside, and then you have some issues in the inside. In my case, I have a pelvic region shaped like a male. I present as a woman outwardly. Inside, I have a pelvic region that's shaped like a male, but I have ovaries, but I produce the hormones of a male, which is high levels of testosterone. So when you see me wigging out on the Peach Radio Show, understand what it is. It's the testosterone. So when you hear me hollering, it's the T, you know what it is. And I'm cool with it. I see y'all staring at me. Say hello. If you have any questions about what I'm saying, go ahead on and comment and let's have this conversation. Karen said, could you define intersex? I did. Chris Hoop said, I am working very hard to educate myself with the entire LGBT community. I am watching to learn more. Great. Karen said, me too. Peter said, that's a good way to state that. Thank you, Peter. But again, that's the basic understanding of it. If you want to get deeper, I suggest you come to the Me seminar. That's going to be June 3rd in Delaware. If you cannot attend because you live far away, please inbox me and my nonprofit will schedule a nice Zoom with you to explain whatever you need to understand. Okay? It's just that simple. Should I go through it again or do everybody got it? Trans people, spiritual experience. Their soul is the opposite of their meat suit. Intersex people, their soul is coming into a dual meat suit. Simple as that. Chris said, I am a cis person, so do you identify as female or intersex? Chris, being that I am an intersex person, I'm going to be honest with you. It's a term called two spirited, and I'm two spirited, meaning that I'm a dual spirited person. And if you tune into our new show on Sunday, which is called Spiritual Sundays at 5 p.m., I will go deeper into what that is and what it is like to be a dual person. Okay? All right, so let's get into this topic. Trans and intersex people have been here since the beginning of time. We are part of your culture. In some instances, you don't even realize that we are. All right, so let me flip to this screen. How many of you people heard of the term called twin flame? Has anybody heard of this? Twin flame. I'm looking for my twin flame. Where is this person? The twin flame. How do I find them? Well, I'm gonna tell you what the twin flame is and the origins of it. So this is the twin flame, and it's a theory written in several religious texts, several of them. The Mahabharata, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is mentioned in the Bible. You hear China, yin and yang, all of that stuff, right? Now, remember the clip I showed you with Credo Mutwa? And he's basically said that human beings came into the earth as intersex people. They were both female and male. Well, that's what the twin flame is. When you say I want to meet my twin flame, where are they? Who is my twin flame? The twin flame theory is a theory that states that the gods took a soul and split it down the middle. And I know all of this sounds so familiar to you. You just heard it from Credo. You're hearing it from the twin flame theory. And then you kind of hear it in the Bible. When you know that verse where God take the rib from Adam is nothing but an allegory and just an offshoot of previous religions. Basically, God took a woman out of a man, or in some of the other religions, a man out of a woman. It's just a split. That's all it is. But Christianity has made it something that it's not. Christianity is a compiled book of several different religions. And all the religions prior states that you were a single entity that was split in two. That's all Adam is. When he took that rib out, really it wasn't a rib. He just divided the soul. So you're walking around looking for yourself basically. So if you're a female, you look for male, you know, that's what that is. That's all it is. And that's another way of letting you know an interpretation that trans people and intersex people were in these societies. That's what the twin flame theory is. I don't want to get too spiritual because, again, I have a spiritual show that will run Sunday at 5 p.m. and I will go into deeper and we can all have conversations and talk about our origin and things of that nature. If you want to join this live, in the caption, you got to exit the video. You could click on the link and you could come on in and we could chat it up and you'll be right on this screen with me. All right. Anybody have any questions about the twin flame theory? That is based off of dual beings, such as the trans and the intersex person. Okay. Are we cool with that? Karen said it's a double ganger. No, it's actually yourself split. Split. That was the meaning of it. The yin and yang. People believe yin and yang is two people on the outside of stuff. It's not. Yin and yang is you balancing your feminine and your masculine energies. That's all it is. So let's come out of the spiritual realm, and I'm going to show you how we were integral and important in your life. We were always there. So now I told you last week we talked about BC. So this is before Christ. I'm gonna show you instances where intersex and trans people were around in your culture. Again, we didn't get bit by radioactive spiders. Nobody put too much fluoride in our toothpaste. So I'm taking you back to ancient Samaria. If you don't know what ancient Samaria is, it's Mesopotamia. It's supposed to be the first civilization that we had. Okay? So the ancient Sumerians actually worshipped a deity that was a dual being or a gender non-conforming god. And her name was Nebro. She was both female and male. Now, mind you, back during this time, they did not have individual wording for trans and intersex and non binary people. All of it was just one word. So, Nebru was a representation of that. Okay? So, if you ever read the Sumerian tablets or you listen to a YouTube uh, lecture on it, they'll tell you they made a man out of clay and they breathed life into it. And it was different types of men. It was the female, it was a male, and then it was a being without either genitalia, which was a representation of being non-binary. That was their word for it. This is their goddess for it. Again, if you're joining us, the topic is intersex and trans people been here. Now, this is before your Christ. We are not people that was just made up modern ideas. No. And if you believe in the binary, I'm glad you're here because there are cultures that have multiple sexes. It's just that in American culture, we only have two. When we already know it's at least four, four or five. All right, so that's Nebru from ancient Samaria. And if you need to find reference for this, please go behind me and check. Feel free, I don't care. Look up the Sumerian tablets. Another person that you can listen to on YouTube is Billy Carson. Billy Carson will give you great information about ancient Sumeria and talk to you about the creation story and all of these things. And as you take this journey, you'll start to realize how similar the Bible, the Quran, and all of these things sound like all these ancient cultures. Now let's go to Samaria again. Ancient Samaria. So they did have, and I think it was South Samaria, in the land of Urr, they worship a trans goddess named Anana. Anana had temples throughout South Samaria, I believe it was, worshipped by the king's daughter. I can't remember the king's name at this moment because I'm old. But she was an integral part of that society. If things went wrong, they went to Anana. There was priests of Anana, and these people were trans people. So it sounds like to me this culture we're in now is behind the times. They say these people are ancient, but really they are forward thinking. And since I'm on this page, I want to share some information with you guys. The word worship doesn't mean what you think it means. And you can look it up. Worship doesn't mean give honor and praise. Worship means to be a slave and work. That's what that meant. When you worship the God, you toiled the soil for that God. And back then, the currency was gold. I encourage you to research. The gold wasn't used to spend like how we use the gold and use the money. The gold was to line the atmosphere. But you have to do your research. So, Anana, take a look at it, get a screenshot. Feel free to look her up. A trans goddess. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody concerns? Anything that they would like to ask? Anything? Hey, Karan, how are you? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. We are in ancient Greece. And as much as I hate the word hermaphrodite, this word was created in Greece. And I'm going to break down exactly where it comes from. It's from the god, and this is an intersex god. Well, intersex goddess or whatever hermaphrodites called their self. Hermaphroditus is the son of Hermes and Aphrodite. Hermaphroditus had temples throughout ancient Greece. The story of Hermaphrodites is he was once a male and he was traveling past a river and a water nymph fell in love with him and jumped on him and prayed to be intertwined with him. And boom, you have an intersex person. As we know, most of these religious texts are all allegories, all of them mostly. But this is a way of explaining how intersex people arrived here or how we came. This was their way of explaining it. So, once again, we have been here and we're a part of your culture. So, I don't understand why there is such a disconnect and people not understanding where we come from and why we exist. I've just given you in this little bit of time information, enough of it for you to kind of grasp exactly, what it is about us. And again, type in these comments if you have a questions. No question is silly. Call me on the phone 302-312-3534 and let's have this conversation. We have been in your culture. So this is I'm sorry, hermaphroditos. You can look them up. Intersex deity. Let's go to the next one. Now this is going to upset the apple cart right here. In ancient traditions, if you were a eunuch, now if you don't know what a eunuch is, that's a person whose private parts are altered or removed. you were considered a identity. You know, today we call them identity, but back then you were considered a part of the hermaphrodites community. And back then there was a bunch of priests, eunuch priests, and they were called the galley, and they worshiped the goddess Cabal or Cabal. And these priests were transgender and non-binary traveling priests that traveled throughout Greece, Rome, and Africa. So you got your good word advice from a bunch of trans and intersex people and non-binary people. Again, when I left off last week, I told you we've been here and you worshiped us. You came to us for sound advice. We were your oracles. We were your priests. We were your gods and goddesses at one point. So I don't see what the problem is today. Why do you hate us so much? It really shouldn't be an issue. Everybody's quiet today. I am shocked. Why is everybody quiet? Am I saying something that's upsetting anybody? Is anybody getting anything from this? Alrighty. So that's the eunuch priest, similar to the priesthood of Rome, except for these people are admittedly a part of the community. Quran said the same way they try to hide the power of women in our history. Yet that is true. What Hope said, we're captivated. So again, intersex and trans people have been here. Put some respect on us. All right. So I told you about the priestess. I told you about the goddesses that you worship that were non-binary, trans, intersex. Now I'm going to tell you about some of the leaders that were non-binary and in that spectrum, identities. So this is Antinous. This is a transgender Roman emperor. Take your screenshots, write the names down. For those that don't believe me, go back and look and research behind me. Antinous Augustus, but AKA, you probably heard about him in your school, her, I'm sorry, in school as Elagabalus or Elagabalus. Now you notice I got dead name up there, right? Because this is a trans person. Her dead name is Avidus, but this is a transgender Roman emperor. She was out loud and proud. She had parades. She had all kinds of parties. She had her lover. Everything out and proud. Take a look at her. To my non binary, trans friends, intersex friends, and family that are stealth, do not be stealth anymore. You have a rich history and culture. You are not the scourge of the earth. We have too many contributions. We contributed a lot. We need to stop hiding. So that's Antinous. Again, I don't want to make this dragged out. I could give you background history story about Antinous, but we ain't gonna do this. Do the research. Now this one is going to upset the black males. So y'all black males, y'all might want to get off of here. Y'all gonna probably be pissed. Oh my god. So the next one is the lovely. Now notice I put King Nzinga. And I know everyone heard of Nzinga. In our history books, it says Queen Nzinga. But he would have wanted to be called King Nzinga. Nzinga is an African ruler, trans. Okay, so you see that? I did that on purpose. You see the she, and I put the he on top purposely because I want you to remember that. I want you to take a mental note and you correct people with this. King Nzinga, trans male. I'm sorry, trans male. Now, what's so interesting about King Nzinga, when I was reading about, I was just like, yo, I love Nzinga. You know how men have a harem full of women? Nzinga had a harem full of trans women as his wives and dressed in full male garb, kingly garb. I believe Nzinga was a ruler of Mali, I believe, and ranging from the years 1583 to 16 something. So that's bringing us to closer to our century. This is not a BC thing. This is pre-colonialism. So I hope with you seeing King Nzinga, a popular person that you learned about in school, that you understand we have contributions here and we're also being hidden in history. Intersex people have been here, trans people have been here, non binary people have been here. And there's so many more that I can't even fit it inside my program. I was like, I can't. How am I going to get all these people in here? So I'm just going to read you a few more people that you can take and research. Okay, so Emperor I of the Han Dynasty. Take a look at Emperor I. There was also King Edward. Just a few more people, but it's just so many different people that's LGBTQ in general that contributed to our society, our culture. For us to be mistreated is just beyond me. I don't get it, and that's why it's so important that we try to get ourselves back into history so to understand the importance of being LGBTQ and respect us. Anybody have any questions? I have been on here talking. It's almost an hour, right? Now I want to bring up something that's more common, and y'all might talk because y'all probably heard of it. Y'all have heard of Two Spirit. It comes from the Native American culture. So with the Two Spirited, it was, and it's not called Two Spirited in each tribe. That's not what it's called. Two Spirit is an American term to sum up the Native American culture. They had different names for the two spirited people in each tribe, okay? But the premise of it is A two-spirited person was born with the spirit or the body of a female or male, or you were just LGBT in general. They revered those people. They had high statuses within their tribes. They were always looked at as probably the shaman because they believed that because you walked in duality, you possessed the gift of sight, vision, and if you didn't possess that, you probably were the medicine person, or you were allowed to go between the camps. In some Native American tribes, the female slept in one space and the male slept in one space. And the two spirited person was able to go between the two. And they also solved the conflicts because they had a dual nature. They can see it from a female's perspective and a male's perspective. That's our contribution to the Native American culture. So again, we have been here. I don't know what the uproar is. I need someone to explain it to me. Can anybody explain why? Why are we so against the identities within the LGBTQ community? I don't even understand why cisgender LGBT people are against anybody within the community. We all have the same plight. We need to come together. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to know anything or make a statement or anything? I could have put up all the other slides, but I felt that I didn't have space for everything. So I'm going to do a recap of everything that I said. And I hope if you're watching that you learned something. And maybe you could share this live and maybe the information will be valuable to someone else. So in the beginning when I started this live, I showed you a clip from Credo Mutwa. I really couldn't get into depth with that because that is just a whole long build and this show is only an hour. Basically, Credo Mutwa told you from ancient African oral traditions from the Zulus that human beings started out as identities, as an intersex person. They were split. Then I went on to tell you that the whole premise of the twin flame theory is based on intersex people. I also shared prior to the video and the twin flame theory a simplification as to how you can understand what a trans person is and an intersex person it is. This echo is killing me. And I'll reiterate. A trans person is having a spiritual journey where their spirit doesn't match their meat suit. The meat suit is this. All of us have one. You are not this. You are the battery, which is the soul, the car that's inside of this body. Most of y'all that's watching probably was lucky enough to get in the correct meat suit. So you don't suffer from dysphoria because you're in the correct meat suit. A trans person is not in the correct meat suit. So they suffer from dysphoria. And science does the rest. I also told you there are studies for people that are atheists and they don't believe in the spirit. That science has discovered that trans men, if you take brain scans, they think like a man. Trans women think like a woman from looking at their brain scan. Intersex people, the ka or the spirit comes down into a dual body. The body is both female and male, and it can look different ways. You don't have to be, and I hate the word again, a hermaphrodite, which is a person with a penis on the outside and a vagina and maybe breasts. You can completely look full female or male on the outside and internally have the opposite hormones from what you present as on the outside. In my case, female on the outside, and the inside, I have some male functioning, meaning male hormones, a male pelvic region. It does not dilate. It does not do anything that a woman pelvic region would do. And I don't produce female hormones. The main one, oxytocin. Do you know what oxytocin is? It helps you to deliver babies. And I just want to say 1 in 100 babies born in the United States is intersex. A lot of people go through life not knowing that they're intersex. The reason why that I know is because of my experience with child rearing. So if you are having issues with that, I suggest you speak to your doctor because you might be intersex. So moving on to what I was talking about. I showed you ancient deities that were intersex, non-binary, trans. I showed you um, emperors, kings, queens, eunuchs, priests. I talked to you about the Native American culture. So I brought you up to at least the 1800s. There are more representations, more people that were intersex, trans, and non-binary that contributed to this culture. And maybe I'll do a part two to show you some representations other than, priests and those things. Maybe I'll show you scientists and civil rights workers, or maybe I'll show you some of those people. I hope you gain some type of understanding. Before I go, does anyone have any questions? Any concerns? You want to call in? Say anything? Hell, tell me what you think about what I'm telling you tonight. Any topic that you want me to discuss? Because when I leave off of here, I'm going to play a clip from Bobby Hemmett. And it speaks on LGBTQ people and why you should pay attention. Anything that the media um, downplays or makes look bad or negative, you should want to research more to find out why. Any questions, any concerns, anything. Hope says thank you for giving us a more informed view. You're welcome, Hope. I do this because I feel like our community needs to feel great about themselves. And I think that comes when you see positive role models of you. Everyone gets to see this positive role models of themselves. LGBTQ gets to see the low brother. We get to see that the trifling trans person that have sex with everybody then tell everybody. We get to see the intersex person that hides it. They don't never say anything. They're in the corner. And then, dun, 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 the man sleep with her. And it's a trans person, intersex person. Oh my God. They have both genitals. This is what we get. So the Peach Radio says, we're not taking that anymore. That is not who we are. This is who we are. If you're going to display the negative of us, display the positive. This is the positive. All right. So since nobody has anything to say and it's almost my hour, I'm going to go ahead on and play my Bobby Hemmett clip. Again, is there any other topic that you want me to discuss next week? I'll be back on at 8 p.m. hopefully. Any topic. Excuse me. No one has a topic suggestion. Okay, so what I'll basically do, I'll put the topic out on Plug Studio Network. I'll put it out on Peach Radio Show and advertise whatever I pick. And if you do come up with a topic, please inbox me. As usual, if you ever need me, my inbox is open. You have my email address on my page. Please go to peachent.com and register. I'm bringing back my all women's party. I will come back with something else for the entire community and the allies, but right now I'm focusing on the women. I feel like we need some type of support with this Roe versus Wade. It affects all of us, no matter what type of woman you are. All right, so since everybody's not saying anything, I'm gonna go ahead on and play this Bobby Hemmett clip. And then if you enjoy it, let me know. Say something in the comments, and I'll post it on my YouTube page, Peach ENT. Okay, y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all next week at 8 p.m. I hope y'all learned something. If you're unclear about something, inbox me. Please go to imecorp.org for all of the nonprofit information. Y'all have a good night. Love y'all.
On the other hand, if you just study the history of us, now he talks about the gatekeepers and the gatekeepers in the aspect of the homosexuality, or just say gay. And when you first hear this, you go, oh man, that's some bullshit. But then again, on the other hand, if you just study the history of us just being in this country, some of the people that was key in our revolution and liberation was gay or, bisexual. So this means we need to look real close into this type of thing and say, because we're not talking about religion here. Religion, tells you all this. We're not into this right and wrong and do and don't. Because we don't know what a motherfucker do in their bedroom. It's so personal. Mm-hmm. So really, it's really a stupid question for you to try to regulate what a person do in private. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? When you really look at this type of thing, when you really look at this type of thing, and I had to really look at these things, because what we're dealing with now, we're dealing with this goddess, Venus, which is a god of the heart chakra. So they don't deal on morality and these social structures. They deal on what motherfucker got the light. And it's interesting here because there's people like let me think about this, because it was Kwame Ture said that the white gays, because everything is political with them, because they're trying to get a political structure. Sure. They came to him and said, we want you to head up the gay thing, because some of our people getting killed with the gay bashing. He said, well, I can't do that. He said, why? He said, because that's not my culture. They said, what do you mean by that? He said, look, we knew that James Baldwin was gay, but he was helping us in the struggle.
Right, right.
and nobody tripped, because when the shit came down, black people was humane enough to go say, look, does that shit really matter? You see what I'm saying? Now, if you get into this religion, that's mind control.
Yeah.
You dealing with a doctrine that somebody put, you know what I'm saying? And he said, so that ain't our thing. He said, we don't have no problem like that. You see what I'm saying? We went up now, and I said, well, that's interesting. James Baldwin. Then Byron Rustin. Here's the man who basically was the architect of the whole March on Washington. Not only that, people don't understand the role he played. He had to train Martin Luther King, all the same people. He had to train them on how to go into Mississippi and Alabama and not get killed. This so-called gay person did it 10 years and 15 years before, in the 40s, when it was unheard of. This was before they even killed Emmett Till. He was going down into Mississippi and Alabama doing protests, and he had to show them how to go in. This is the man who taught Martin Luther King and them how to go into Alabama, Mississippi, and not get their ass killed. And he's a gay man. So you got to look at that and say, well, what the Spirit is saying about this. The Spirit is saying, look, this shit here is not about what a person is doing physically. It's about who got the light. So in the Africans, they was talking about the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers, they say, is supposed to be bisexual. And what Malidoma Tomei is saying, and all, it's also in the Voodoo Gnostic Workbook. It costs about $400, $500. Get it off the internet now, you can order it. The Voodoo Gnostic Workbook. The gatekeepers, and I'm heterosexual. The gatekeepers, they were saying, was people, because of them having the bisexual nature, they were able to see things from another perspective. You see what I'm saying? And so, now, coming from religious training and all this other shit like this and all, yes, you can find a lot of things to say, I ain't with all that kind of shit, but when you look on the spirit realm, and on this realm where they're talking about this new goddess, where it ain't based on what you do physically, and how it's based on what your heart is. Then you got to understand that when they talk about that, they're talking about there's a reason why they got them as a certain amount of gatekeepers. And so he talks about those type of things, and I think it's got something to do with a certain mind and energy. And the reason why I say that is this here. You always got to look at what a woman would do. Not what a woman is trained, but what a woman would do. Why is it that the women, some of their best friends was gay? They ain't had no problem hanging out with no gay man. Now with us, it's a social thing or whatever type thing here and all this kind of thing here. But the point I'm trying to make here is, in the spirit realm, you see what I'm saying? They don't look on, they look at just light. And what light is awakened. So if you get into judging, making judgments on people, it's just like in the movie, and the reason why I say that is this here. It's just like in the movie Star Wars, when they told him he wanted him to go, Luke Skywalker, to meet Yoda, the Jedi Master. And when Yoda came, he was a little old, short little thing, living a shithole, eating stew. And he judged him at first, and didn't know this was the Jedi Master they're looking at. And that's the way the spirit realm does. And there's a reason why they will send somebody in your path that is not the conventional way of what you think the spirit is, because the simple fact is they're trying to get you to look beyond the physical or the apparent. So the gatekeeper thing is on that particular level and all. And they talk about this, and they talk about this in Malidoma Tomei's thing. They talk about it in a lot of African cultures, as well as like I say, the Voodoo Gnostic Workbook by Michael Bertio or something like that. Voodoo Gnostic Workbook. They talk about the whole gatekeeper thing.